Greetings, YouTube. This is the Garage Autonomist. And I really want to thank everybody who's been patient um, with me for the lack in producing videos. I know you get tired of hearing me. Apologize for that. I mean, I came to 750 something subscribers now over the last 2 years of now almost 3 years of this channel in its it, in its existence. And believe me when I tell you, I'm extremely appreciative of all of you who have done that, and appreciative of all of you who watch my videos and who come to the live hangouts as well. Um, again, life just changes, and that's really been the case with me. But again, I'm just very appreciative of y'all's patience and the fact that so many of you like to come here and hear me talk, or you like to watch my videos. So let's see here. What are we here to talk about? Until I get bored with talking about them, I'm here to talk about Boyce Watkins. Now, I'm not really one to jump on the bandwagon when the news cycle runs hot in social media over yet another social media figure, which is who Boyce Watkins is. I'm not one to jump on the bandwagon. Matter of fact, I'm the type of person who kind of waits until the dust settles. And if new facts come about, then I like to talk about that. But really, I don't like talking about big YouTubers. That's not my thing. I mean, I bring up Tommy or brought up Tommy because I really don't talk about Tommy Sotomayor that much like I used to. But I don't talk about these big people because they have a large audience. And the more you talk about them, even if it's something where you disagree with them on, or you try to expose them for things, they capitalize on the attention no matter what. uh, like whenever we find out something new or fucked up about Tommy Sotomayor, or things that we actually enjoy hearing, like he got punched in the face, which now I'm convinced was a fake story, or he never really lived in any of these McMansions that we see him living in throughout the city of Phoenix. It turns out that he's just a regular old house sitter, groundskeeper, you know, for people who actually, make money and live in that way that he really can't afford. Like when we find these things out, we get so happy and we want to talk about them, and we make millions of videos about these people. But deep down, Tommy is capitalizing on that one way or the other, even if he's not actually making money off of people watching what he's going to say, how he's going to react. In the end of the day, all of these people have learned one thing and one thing only: that bad attention is just as good attention, and any attention is even better than making money off of that attention. And so hence this leads to the reason why one of the reasons why I never wanted to ever talk about Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins, I knew who he was probably as soon as I created my channel. Um, and I didn't watch any of his videos. I didn't want to, because I had enough people talking about him. I watched other YouTubers who I will give my viewership to, talk about him. And I knew enough about him through them. I knew enough about him through them. And what was there to know? That he was a guy that said that he gave financial advice. That he was about, his position was, if the black community is so fucked up, if racism is still prevalent in our society, then the best way for us to counter racism is for us to become little capitalists, to become black capitalists, and to create black capitalism. But the reason why I didn't watch his actual content to hear if he was on the up and up, what he talked about exactly, was because my gut reaction was, if you're on YouTube talking about financial economic education and financial education and raising the black community's consciousness, collective consciousness about making money, you wouldn't, if you're doing that, then you really wouldn't have time to be making these videos. You really wouldn't be on YouTube as much as you're on YouTube. So you must be selling something, right? And then in the back of my mind, I thought, well, surely maybe this guy's an actual banker. Maybe he runs black banks or a bank. Maybe he is in formation of some sort of online black chamber of commerce, right? That's what I thought. I assumed this about him. Because surely in this day and age where people can find out if you're actually full of shit or that you really ain't shit, surely you would never just be out here running your fucking mouth and not really backing yourself up, right? Right? So that's the reason why I actually assumed that he was far more successful uh, than what he led on, than what people thought, right? It's just that why would I be interested in what he had to say? I believe in a different course for the black community. We're not going to get out of racism by selling donuts. We're not going to get out of racism by selling T-shirts. Okay, let me share y'all a quick story, real quick. I was actually my daughter and I were coming home from a meeting, after school and stuff. She's 12, my youngest, and she wanted to scooter home because she likes to get that exercise. And I took the train uptown, up to our house. Now I got a bit of a delay because I wanted to pick up some vegetables and stuff for my dinner. And when she realized that when she got home and I wasn't there yet, she texted me and she said, Daddy, where are you at? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just had to pick up some stuff. I'll be home soon. And then she said, okay, well, just be careful because the police are looking for somebody. Now, this is the reality of black people right now. And so much so that this is in the mindset of a 12-year-old, that if the police are looking for somebody, that there's the possibility of them picking up your father or fucking with your father if they just feel like, we can't find who we're looking for. Let's pick that guy. Um, and so I said, okay, fine. Thank you. I came home. See, Boyce Watkins is of this mindset that the problem with the black community is that when we talk about injustice to the community, when we talk about social justice or wanting it, we're whining, we're complaining, okay? And that if we got together and became and wanted to go for wealth and created generational wealth for our families, then we would have no reason to whine and complain about racism. He literally believes this. Okay. So that's one of the things that he says, one of the things he believes. Just go to his website, Your Black World. Sorry, not his website, his channel, Your Black World. And you'll find the videos. They're all listed and stuff. On that level, I'm not gonna post his link. I have links in the low bar of this particular live cast, and I'll get to what some of those links are about. But I'm not giving him a link to his channel. I mean, he gets enough traffic. His man's got 2 million or something subscribers that he most likely bought, but whatever. After all, his self on in social media is indeed his business, as I have come to learn. And the way I see it, so many people already seem to have a good angle on Boyce Watkins in terms of their critique of him that I didn't want to be just yet another voice in the wilderness. In other words, I didn't really want to add to it because what was the point? Now, uh, and what is the critique generally? Well, besides the first thing that I brought up, that he believes that there is no social injustice for the black community, other than what if you want to victimize poor people, and since black people are mostly poor, therefore, if they would just make themselves wave a magic wand and become rich, therefore, the black community would be in the same way as we see the mythical, and I do say it's a myth, the mythical community of the Jewish community. Believe me, that community is nothing like what everybody thinks and what everybody keeps saying. And black folks love to keep throwing that up all the time. Every time we want to complain about ourselves or each other, we always need to bring up Jewish people as the model community or even Asian people. And guess what, y'all? They're not. But again, that may have to be a separate video. And shout out to New Possibilities who actually brought that thing up because again, Boyce Watkins loves to bring up other people's communities as an example of them doing the right thing, and us never doing the right thing. When he said that, we'd rather complain about social justice and about our dignity when it's being disrespected by the pop culture, the racist pop culture. We'd rather complain about that. And the Jewish community are just making money, which basically is almost it really is an anti-Semitic stereotype right there. No, the Jewish community is very much about social justice, as New Possibilities have pointed out today in this video. They will come after you when you say anti-Semitic things. Hell, man, they've come after other Jewish people, and I've seen them go after other Jewish people. It's fucking vicious. You know what I'm saying? That's how much concern they are about their image and about their dignity. And that's not a bad thing. So, again, Boyce Watkins just throws this bullshit out. But in other words, but the other critique, the main critique, the one that's more damaging, I mean, is the fact that Boyce Watkins, as someone like Kevin Smith, who is one of the only two roast sector YouTubers I watch, him, and then of course there's Chris, or rather Black Rampage slash AKA Lord Drazen. But as Kevin Smith will call him, Moist Watkins. It's like that's like my favorite nickname of him. Uh, but as Kevin Smith says, he just ain't shit. Now, as much as that's not a most like a non-descriptive of Boyce Watkins, as I've soon learned, he really isn't shit, and we'll get to that. So why am I even talking about Boyce Watkins? It's only because of this late uh, controversy about him, and it's something that I, again, on gut level, I suspected, but didn't have any evidence of it, and it really isn't a big as deal as everyone says. Hey, what's up, Jenny? And it really isn't a big deal as everyone thinks because it really isn't, and I'll explain. So, what is the controversy? Boyce Watkins, who talks all this, black, uh, black financial and economic independence and black economic empowerment. As much as he talks about all that stuff, it turns out that he's actually been in a partnership, or really, he's been backed up by a non-black businessman by the name of Charles Wu. Hey, what's up, Pure Butterfly Spirit? Jenny and Pure Butterfly Spirit is in the house. So he's backed up by a man by the name of Charles Wu. Charles Wu runs a company called, get this, because this goes to show you how incredibly uncreative most of these people in the corporate world are. It's called CW Labs. Or sorry, CW Lab. I have a link to his doofy ass website just so you could just get an idea of what they're about. But believe me, you won't learn that much because, of course, that fits into the latest trend of the corporate world. And the thing about Charles Wu is that what he does, what his company does, is what they do is they just basically package what you as a business owner, they package you. They give you a spin or a narrative of who you are and what you're selling or what you're doing, and they give you sort of like they give a feel of what your philosophical voice should be and what it is that you're selling. Their idea or his idea is, if you say you're selling donuts, he's going to want to say, well, how did you come to get into this business? Why did you do it? If there's anything that he can create or see what might be a dramatic turn in your life, maybe you got tired of the corporate world and you wanted to go and be your own boss, and maybe something humiliating or horrible happened to you at your job. Like, what he will literally write, he won't do it, but of course whoever works for him and does this shit, they will basically give a narrative of your story because they understand that people will most likely spend their money with a business that has a good story behind it. Don't ask me who these goofballs are in the world, but apparently there are people like that. Well, maybe that's the reason why some people think that Apple sold so much stock and sold so many computers, was because they were all part of the pirates of Silicon Valley. They were part of that very dramatic uh, competition with Microsoft. It's that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So they deal with that, and they deal with how you're going to be packaged in the viral world, and how you should go about and what you should be doing on the day to day, and on Facebook or on YouTube, and what you should be talking about and that kind of thing. They realize that if Boyce got out here and he talked about like all this Sunday school moralism, like recently he made a video that was literally only 2 minutes long, and all he did in that video was basically say a message to young people. And you click on the video and he says, y'all need to stop doing dumb shit. You need to be doing something better with your lives. And that was the end of the fucking video. And I'm like, are you serious? And it was like, what the fuck? But CW Lab is saying, well, we know that this nerdy, middle-aged, pudgy man is the antithesis of what's cool in the black community. And we're going to say, yeah, he is that, but he's going to get you guys to see that if he's successful, that you see him in a shirt and tie, that you see him like that. In other words, this will drive the business to his website and deal with his product and buy his product. And that's the thing. What is damn it. You know what, y'all? Hold on. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. Just type a one if you're still in the chat, if you can hear me. I just used the pause button. I noticed that people do that now when they are when they're going live, and I figured, I would try it. Yeah, I had to go shut off my alarm. Don't laugh. I actually have a going to bed alarm and I forgot to turn it off for the night. All right, great. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Pure Butterfly Spirit. So anyway, what I was saying was, so what is it that this guy, Boyce Watkins, sells? What he sells to what he sells basically is he sells business lessons. Okay. Now, $10,000, I think there's a whole financial plan. If you the link that I've provided in the low bar to the website called The Root, in that link, they do a very good breakdown of Boyce Watkins, what he does, what he actually does. And then herein where lies where I was surprised, where I was completely wrong about my assumptions about Boyce. Again, I assume that Boyce, for all his talk of, financial responsibility, no, not financial, sorry, financial education. Black people need to be building businesses. You need to get off the corporate plantation, or you need to get off the industrial plantation, what's left of it, right? Because we're all a bunch of idiots and we're all a bunch of morons for working for someone else, as if that's a great pleasure, right? um that this is what he's been saying all along. And again, I assume that for someone to be talking this much shit, that he actually ran businesses, that he owned businesses, more than one, that he did things. Turns out, no, man, this motherfucker's main form of well, it's not his main form of pay. What he really does is, he writes a lot of books too along these lines. Basically financial guruism is what this is about. And this is, of course, his second revenue stream, right? Are these online lessons. I mean, I swear to God, I thought this man here was selling stocks. I thought this man here was like a financial consultant. I thought he was, I thought he was. Hey, thank you, Annex. And Pupil for Spirit. I'm gonna read all of you guys' comments as soon as I'm done. And I'm almost done. And so, in other words, I thought this dude actually sold real service. Now, yes, he'll say, I am. I'm giving you guys business lessons. But here's the thing, man. As soon as I saw this man's website, as soon as I heard about the whole Charles Wu controversy, and it's not really a controversy as much, it's just that it just deals with the contradiction of this guy, that he talks all this stuff about how independent we need to be, and it turns out he's not really all that independent either. And that it turns out that when you really look at the identity, how closely how close of an uh, identity that what Charles Wu also does, which is with Charles Wu, he deals mainly with blockchain and Bitcoin. Like how he sells a software, but this is not a part of what CW Lab does, by the way. This is his other thing that he does, where there's a software called Jarvis that, again, the root piece, the root blog that goes into the relationship between Charles Wu and Boyce Watkins, goes into what it is that Charles Wu also does, or what could very well be his main revenue stream. See, I really hate being around these people and talking about these people because I start talking like them, but that's only because, and I hate to admit it, of this other part of my professional, job. And anyway, the point here, the point is that that's what he does. He deals with Bitcoin. He deals with blockchain. That's what Charles Wu deals with. And it turns out that a lot of what he sells, it turns out that is also what um, Boyce Watkins sells. So now we're looking at someone who's not as independent, as much of a captain of industry, self-made guy as we thought. Now, does this really mean that Boyce Watkins really lives in a hovel someplace and that he's that much of a fraud? No. One thing I know academics. Okay, uh, Boyce Watkins is that. Boyce Watkins is also a bit of a celebrity, not only in on YouTube or in social media, but in real life. If you don't know, if you haven't dug back, and that's another reason why I never gave a shit about Boyce Watkins, because again, I kind of saw him as a mainstream talking head who appears every now and then on CNN or Fox News, because it all that's really how his whole quote unquote narrative, as Charles Wu calls it, that's how it all started. It started when he appeared on Fox News years ago, and Bill O'Reilly made it a personal vendetta to try to get Boyce Watkins fired from Syracuse. Uh, was it Syracuse University, right? Um, Try to get him fired from there because at that time Boyce was a professor of economics there. And see, Boyce is an economist. Economists are academics. They basically just talk about economic trends, the current state of the economy, financial trends, things of that nature. And and they're also analysts too. So when they're not teaching or they don't have Boyce napkins. Although here's Big J Triple X. Big J Triple X. Oh God, I got to stop interrupting myself. But I just got to say this one thing. Big J Triple X also has the most creative uh, nickname for Boyce Watkins. He calls them Moist Napkins. So that's a funny one. I like Moist Napkins, and his last name is Napkins. No, it's Watkins. I like Moist Napkins, and I like Moist Twatkins. Those are my two favorite. Those are my two favorite nicknames of them. Anyway, going back. So Bill O'Reilly was on a warpath to get Watkins fired, and supposedly that's what happened because Bill O'Reilly felt that Boyce was some black radical, that he was like some uh, this black radical, this man that was after white people, and that's only based on an appearance on Bill O'Reilly's show where all Boyce Watkins did. And it's funny, Boyce Watkins tries to say that the black community is wrong for calling out racism, but it's okay when he does it, and that's exactly what happened. I'm forgetting even what was the main point of Watkins and on his appearance. Sorry, y'all, that's my laziness. I normally, I, I normally, I'm normally on stuff like that, but I just, I forgot. But the point here is that that's what happened, and so that kind of shot him into fame, so to speak. Um, and that's what shot him into fame, so to speak. What's up, Phoenix? So Charles Wu's company, CW Lab, used that conflict between, I was about to call him Moist Watkins, between Boyce Watkins and Bill O'Reilly as there as him saying, look, he's a hero. This guy went against the evil racist of Fox News. He got fired, but now he decided, I'm not, for something like this, I'm not going back to work again. I'm, I'm going to be about the black community becoming business people, and we need to get off the corporate plantation. We need to get off the industrial plantation and go into business for ourselves. Now, as I was about to say, the thing about academics is that they make money. Okay. They're not poor. They're not rich, but they're not poor either. Uh, you know, like most, I mean, if you're talking like the lowest level of adjunct professors, for instance, might make somewhere starting 50,000, 50K a year, which for some people is a lot of money. Not much, but it's a lot of money. And then from 50K to 60, and then upwards. If you're someone like Boyce, who also wrote books, well, now you're talking about somebody. I mean, I'm pretty sure Boyce is somewhere, definitely is six figures at least. Um, it's somewhere like six figures at least. And the thing about Boyce is that he wants to make it seem that that revenue that he makes is the result of, hey, oh man, what's up? Damn, Phoenix and new possibilities. Okay, y'all, I'm about to get to y'all's comments and just give me, I'm almost done. So what Boyce does, this trick, this ruse, is for us is the fact that he's basically upper middle class in terms of his actual tax bracket, and he's trying to make it seem like he's out here like a real mover and shaker. And like again, I looked at him once and I just thought, okay, well, this guy probably runs a business, he's doing this, but I'm not really interested. I don't care. And besides, enough people have a lot of enough things to say about him anyway. But either way, my gut about him was that he was full of shit and he wasn't what he was. And he wasn't what he was saying he was. So when finally all this shit blew over about Charles Wu and the fact that Charles Wu basically calls Boyce Watkins a character, that he's a narrative. And this is what his company does. We create a narrative of those. It's not about what you sell, it's about how you're selling it. If you go to Charles Wu's LinkedIn, which I've also provided in the low bar of this cast, you will learn that this motherfucker, he speaks as flowery as he is. I mean, his company is just as is just as abstract and not even abstract is the word I'm looking for. Obscure, in what it is that they do, but it's pretty clear what they do. But it's just that they just basically are business consultants. They consult and market who you are and what and how you appear to people. But again, I mean, Boyce is nothing like what we think. And I don't think anyone buys those business lessons. So what does all this break down to? If you guys remember, people like Suze Orman, hold on here. All right. So if you all remember people like Suze Orman, right? Well, who was she? She got her start, I think, on PBS or some shit. And all she is a personal finance, news, and advice person. Okay. So here you got Boyce Watkins basically using that, okay, wow, using that, her thing, um, and I can't think of the other guy. He had a huge big jaw. If it's like 3 in the morning and maybe you worked some kind of crazy shift, or maybe you were just out partying, drinking out late, like when all the good, you know, um, when all the good shows, reruns have ended, and it's like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and then finally that dude with the big jaw comes on, and he's trying to sell you real estate and shit. Remember that guy with the suspenders? So basically, that's what Boyce Watkins is. He took these people, these old financial gurus, and he said, I'm going to be that, but for the internet. And I'm going to throw in a bit of pro blackness. I'm going to be like a little bit like Umar Johnson, in that I want to use, if you really want to say, he rehashed Marcus Garvey in a way, or summoned Marcus Garvey in that I want to talk about black independent wealth or us getting that and using that as the only way to make money. Sorry, to get our liberation, quote unquote. And yeah, so it just turns out that he wasn't shit. And he's not really what he is. I mean, I was not disappointed. It was more like, wow, I just assumed that that he was bigger than that, and he really isn't. So there you go. Now, now that I brought up the guru stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna end it at this. What I would suggest is that if you are seriously looking for independent wealth, and now look, I'm a communist, all right? You know this. But if I don't shit on people who want to go and be business people if they want to. You know what I'm saying? I never have because one, most small business people are not, as much as they would like to believe that they're going to be that they are capitalists, that that's what they're doing. Um, they can't be. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to wind up with 100 employees under your under your skirt. Boyce Watkins, I think he boasts that there are 25 people that work for him. He's not a capitalist, folks. If you're not a capitalist if you don't control natural resources and you don't have the power to do something about the population, i.e., affect the lives, often negatively, of the population in a particular region or area or even a country, you're not a capitalist. You're just simply really a worker who doesn't want a boss. And if you're successful in staying that way, well, good luck to you. I don't have ill will of you there. And that's another reason why I never talked about Boyce Watkins. And it's also a main reason why I never made it my business to attack quote unquote black capitalism. Why? Because the real capitalists would never stand for any form of black capitalism or Latino capitalism or Asian American capitalism or any kind of form of quote unquote ethno capitalism. You don't have to worry about leftists fucking with you or standing in the way of something like that. Know that the real capitalists will come after you or stand in your way if you are, of course, any kind of form of competition. It's not a put down when I say this. It's just that you're not a threat. You're never going to be. In order for you to be a capitalist, like I just said, you got to control the overall wealth of a whole population. You have to control that population. You have to have an effect over that population, and you have to employ more than or be more employed over than 100 people or so, and have the power to employ or unemploy those people. You're none of those things. So, I mean, more power to, Mr. Tyrone who wants to sell t-shirts or Miss Jacobs who wants to sell bean pies. Like, I'm down with that. Hell, I'll buy your t-shirts. I'll eat your bean pies. Okay? I don't have a problem with supporting y'all. All right? So, that's all I got to say about so-called black capitalism. I did think that it was a mistake of the Black Panthers back in the day to even write more than one article about attacking or critiquing black capitalism because it just simply wasn't a threat. Social studies story time. Do I have a time for this story? Because it's in connection to Boyce Watkins or the likes of him or even the Sue Zorman types. Why? Because I had a neighbor when we lived in the Upper West Side when we first moved to New York City. Now, if you know anything about Manhattan or New York, you'll know that the Upper West Side is a fairly wealthy neighborhood. We were just lucky because a friend of my of my in-law uh basically were our landlords. And so, you know, and that apartment was rent controlled. Now our neighbor, I'm gonna call him Nick, a very nice guy. He was he was one of them New Yorkers who came up during the 70s. Matter of fact, he was an actor. Uh, he even had a listing in the Internet Movie Database. Um, and he had like some bit parts here and there, but nothing big. Just. But of course, and Nick was also around that time period. He was able to buy his apartment. He from our landlords. He bought his apartment. His apartment, of course, was just a studio, what we call an efficiency in the South, just a one bedroom apartment. I mean, not even a bedroom. Sorry, kitchen, and then everything else in that apartment was a living room and then a bathroom. I think he had like a little piano in there. He had like computer in there, stuff like that. And for his day in, day out way of paying his bills, Nick drove a car, or he drove a car service. So this is pre-Uber days, by the way. So, his clients were people that he had to go pick up at the airport and bring to some place. So these were like, businessmen from Japan, businessmen from Hong Kong, you name it. That's who he dealt with. So, he was not a cab driver, and he had to own and maintain and keep up his own limo. Well, Nick would be like, you can hear him 2 in the morning until 4, playing very loudly. It didn't disturb us. Like if you were in the hallway, you could hear it. In our apartment, you couldn't hear it at all. And Nick would play these self-help guru tapes. Like the guy with the big jaw I mentioned. Sorry, I just can't. I'm not going to interrupt right now and look up his name. Or he would be listening to Suze Orman, or he would be listening to pyramid scheme people, and he would always and every time he bought a new piece of technology, like a Wi-Fi router, he knew what I did for a living. He knew what my expertise was, so he would invite me to come next door and help him set stuff up. And he would try to slip me like some money, and I'd be like, no, 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 you're a neighbor. I'm doing this. And he would be like, well, you really got to get out there and be your own business person. And at the time, after 9/11, when my wife got laid off and I was still a stay-at-home, you know, dad, but I was, looking for work too. Um, he was like, really pushing that whole like, yeah, man, you need to go out there and start your own business. And, what are you doing? Waiting for a job and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but dude, not that I said it to his face, but, you know, like I said, he was almost 70 and stuff, Nick. But I was like, dude, you drive a limo, you know, and you listen to these get rich quick videos. As a matter of fact, and he bought them. Like he paid money for this shit. Money that he barely had. And it was like, but Nick, you put money in the hands of people who are telling you this big pipe dream. And where does it all lead? Because this guy did not own any stocks or did not buy anything in these investments that these other gurus were telling him was going to make him money. I mean, it is what it is, man. It's an industry telling people how to get rich. But you barely have seen any of these people become rich. It's just the dream. It's just about selling dreams. Well, one day, sorry, it was I was hearing a lot of hustle and bustle in the hallway. So I peek out there and I see the ambulance is there. and they've got Nick on a gurney. And my neighbor who was down the hallway was telling him, "Hey, I'm going to call your son." And his son at that time was in his late teens or whatever. He lived in New Jersey with his mom. His mom, who had a boss, who worked for somebody else, and she lived in a 3-bedroom house. And they were taking Nick away. It turns out that Nick had a heart attack. This was his second heart attack, but we weren't even living in New York when he had his first. Unfortunately, Nick never came back home because he died. And the thing about it is that when I remember, like, his apartment door was left open, and as I always remembered his apartment, everything was kind of stacked up high because he lived in that tiny little apartment that, granted, he owned. But that was all that was left of him, man. The apartment that he left his son, and a bunch of stacks of DVDs, VHSs, even beta tapes of How to Get Rich Quick. And that's basically what Boyce Watkins is making his money off of. And that's who all these get rich quick gurus are all about, is other people making them rich, telling you how to get rich. So that's basically the reason why I cannot, and nor I will not ever, respect Boyce Watkins. And that's why I think we should make a big deal about this guy. But this will most likely be the last time I'll ever talk about Boyce Watkins. So let's take a look at this chat. I'm going to run up the room here. First, I want to give a shout out to everybody who has shown up. Pure Butterfly Spirit, Phoenix Chastain, New Possibilities dropped in. He said that Boyce Watkins' reputation is shot. Yes, it is. New Possibilities. It's funny. It's like a little research goes a long way, man. I think that had I have actually paid attention to him, because my rule is me never really looking at or going to the channels of these big people, as I said when I first started tonight. And damned if it turns out that he really, had I have actually saw what was the deal with him even before this Charles Wu thing, being his backup, being his overlord, so to speak, I probably would have been on the bandwagon, the anti-Boyce bandwagon 2-3 years ago. But like I said, I at first just didn't give a fuck about the guy. So there you go. But yeah, his reputation is shot. Phoenix says, Pure Butterfly Spirit, whatever happened to your girl Jamila? Oh man, this is crazy. Or something, yeah, Jamila. I mentioned Jamila in my intro to tonight's hangout. That's somebody else who people say, "Hey, how come you don't talk about her?" I'm not gonna ever talk about her or do a video. I took her voice off of a video that she did a long time ago called Hunger Strike. I like what she said in it. Doesn't mean I agree with Jamila or that I like Jamila. I did get off on the anti-Jamilites who came to my channel mad that I, quote unquote, gave legitimacy to her, because what I did was, she was talking about, basically she was talking about men, and she was talking about patriarchy, or black patriarchy, even though she didn't really say that. And I like taking a lot of those images and the things that people on Wall Street and the slave trade images and all of that. And I threw a couple of statistics about what black women are going through, and I thought it was a great video. I thought it was a very powerful video. And people got mad at me because they thought I was giving her legitimacy. I don't think so at all. Anybody can go and see the mess that Jamila is, and especially when it comes to her children. But, you know, she's just not worth talking about. Like she's just not worth it. I mean, do I enjoy it when other people do? Yeah, I enjoy almost all of Chris's videos about her, and I mean, I leave at the altar. What do they call the leave at the podium? Some of the things he says, particularly focused in exactly on the kids, but I don't really come after him about that because so what? Like, in the end of the day, he's not really roasting kids. He's, in my opinion, he's roasting Jamila's fucked up ass parenting. But anyway, enough for her. Let's go down here to what's important. Phoenix says, I'm mad at new possibilities. I don't know why. Jenny says, yay, new possibilities. New possibilities says hi to Jenny. Pure butterfly spirit. Phoenix, Jamila went full blown crazy and whacked out. That's true. Pure butterfly spirit says Jamila phone changed word. I don't know what that means. Okay. Someone named Regiment 65 says somebody released his credit report. This person is referring to Boyce Watkins' credit report recently, and it showed his credit score to be about 600. 600 sounds like the credit score of any struggling person who's working who might have bad credit. Now, what I would say about that is New Possibilities had said, because I watched his video today about this, is that if it was any of us in here, and I've certainly had my credit score like that, and not that that I'm just going to mention it. It's not like that anymore, but again, I don't. But it was like that. But that's typical of most people here in America who work for a living. And but that shouldn't be typical of a man who's preaching to everybody else about financial education. Now, I'm pretty sure his supporters, and he does have a lot of them still to this day, who will say, well, he's a businessman. This is expected for him to have bad credit. No, my friend. As a businessman, it's expected for him to have at least been bankrupt a couple of times. And of course, bankruptcy does, as an end result, give you bad credit. But bankruptcy, you actually have to be a business person to be to have gone through bankruptcy. Well, okay, I shouldn't say that. You can go through bankruptcy basically because you didn't pay a bunch of credit cards and stuff. But I don't think that's the case with this guy. He wants to preach financial prudence and responsibility, but he has a 600 credit. If this is true, because one, how does another normal person get a hold of someone else's credit report? I don't know about that. But if it's true, then again, this is another example of why most people shouldn't listen to Boyce Watkins. Let's see here. Oh, Tony Robbins. Yes. Thank you. Who was that who corrected me? Was that Phoenix or Jenny? I think it was Jenny. Yeah, Tony Robbins, that piece of shit. Let's see here. Let's see here. Pure Butterfly Spirit says Phoenix. Ah, damn it. Okay, good. The down arrow works. Pure Butterfly Spirit says Phoenix, long story. She blamed feminism for all her life problems. Oh, she's talking about Jamila, and went crazy over a guy she never met. Yep, that was what was his name? De Niro Red, an upcoming rapper who wanted to be so much of a hardcore rapper that he committed a crime and now he's currently in prison. But another example of when trying to be real goes wrong. She left her two young daughters to chase this man who was in prison. Yes, it's true. And now Jamila's two young daughters are back in her home state of Kansas City, Missouri, where one and both of these girls, if I'm not mistaken, are around 14. One is shacking up with some dude, and the other one is with their father's family. So again, another, but this is somebody who will tell you, "Oh, it's great being a parent. Every woman should be a mother." It's like, but you're a shitty mother. Stop trying to, trying to sell parenting when you're a horrible parent. Shut the fuck up. Um, Annex says there's an expose video on her too. I guess Annex is talking about. Sorry, my cat is going nuts back here. It's talking about Jamila. Phoenix says, Jenny, that's best left between um responding because he's clucking. I don't know what he's talking about. I mean, I don't know what Phoenix is talking about. Joel McGee. Oh, cool. Joel McGee visited me last time I did a stream. Joel McGee says Boyce is trash and a danger to the class struggle. Thank you, Joel. Yes, I mean, and in my opinion, Boyce is an agent. In that I don't throw that term around lightly, so I shouldn't really call him an agent, but he's definitely an agent for social injustice. He's someone again who attacks real class struggle. He attacks real liberation for Black people and really just poor people in general. And it's like, and he thinks that if we embrace get rich quick schemes, that's how we're gonna fix our problems. Phoenix says, "Pure butterfly spirit, damn, ditched her kids. I thought she was all about those kids and feminism. That's whack, dumping your kids to chase sausage." And Jenny says she's watching Altered Carbon. I wonder if Garage has seen it. Jenny, I've only seen the posters for the show. I haven't seen it yet, but I was thinking about checking it out, so I will. Jenny says, sausage, yeah. Uh, so Jenny, how's those the cravings? How is that going? I don't know if you're at that stage just yet. Well, I don't know. Maybe you are. I don't know. Man, I can't even begin to tell you the late night binges that my wife and I were both doing. Because when she was pregnant, it was crazy, man. We would like, because we were in Houston at the time, so car culture, right? And we jump in a car, be like midnight. We would go to all night Chinese buffet. We would, God, I don't even want to get into that. Uh, Pure Butterfly Spirit says you're not a capitalist if you're not a billionaire either. Jenny says, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird show. Kind of wonder what people think. Phoenix says, I retired early. I own my house and car outright with no debts. Good for you, Phoenix. I'm down with that. Annex says, that is who I am. I am a worker that is my own boss. Exactly. I don't look down on that, y'all. Jenny says, I need to work on the debt. Yeah, well, that's a lot of us. I don't want this baby having a dead ass mama. Phoenix says, yeah, Jenny, I wouldn't mind some sausage myself. I don't like being celibate, but that happens to a Jedi sometimes. Man, I want to do a Star Wars hangout. You guys think I could get away with that? I'm gonna do a Star Wars hangout. Talk to y'all about my thoughts on Star Wars. You might be surprised how I think about the Jedi. But long story short, I don't like them. Anyway, Jenny says, yeah, I crave some. And X says, I fucking hate bosses. I like teams instead. Yep, that's good. Me too, Jenny. But according to Contra, his woman experience indicates we women don't like sex, just hugs. That's boy starting to piss me off. That boy's starting to piss me off. Oh, don't get me started on fucking Contra. I kind of like Contra at first because Contra's videos. Listen, Contra's videos are cool to watch. I'm not gonna lie about that. Doesn't mean I agree with the content. I just love the fact that Concha's really good at editing. Concha's really good at scripting. Uh, you know, Concha's really good. It's like liking your favorite metal band, even though you know they're homophobic and racist. But anyway. Phoenix Chastain says, "How's Ape Jenny? Your new job, and do you like it?" Uh, Jenny says, "God, I hate the self-help shit." Tony Robbins. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that was Jenny correct. Not correct, but yeah, thank you, Jenny. Tony Robbins. That's what I was thinking about. Man jaw. Phoenix Chastain says, "I've never heard of that show, but then I don't watch Netflix either. I want it, but I don't." Let's see here. I'm gonna skip some of this. Pure Butterfly Spirit says, "I love Tony Robbins. I go to his seminars. He's inspiring and gets the crowd pumped like a rock star." Yeah, well, ugh, that's because gurus make money off of their audience, says Jenny. And then Phoenix says, "But PBS, are you rich?" And then Pure Butterfly Spirit says, "No, Phoenix, I'm not." Phoenix says, "I can inspire you better than Tony PBS. I just made Master Jedi, so I can freelance now." All right. Is that Ed that says hello, yo yo? Jenny Kiss says, "The hotel I used to work in hosted the secret talks, and they totally preyed on poor black people. It was heartbreaking, so I would hook them all up with free drinks and luxury service." Wow. That's wow. Thank you, Jenny. Well, thank you, Jenny, if you did that. And uh, yeah, I don't know. I think Secret Talks is a Tony Robbins thing, but yeah, of course. I mean, that's the thing, man. You're gonna see black people are always gonna embrace shit like this, and this is not a diss. It's just that people who are desperate, people who see getting wealth as some sort of such a rubric, it's such a secret that you're desperate to listen to anybody who tries to sell this this dream to you. It's very dangerous. Jenny says the secret was pushed through Oprah. Right. I'm not surprised by that. Pure Butterfly Spirit says he's attractive in real life too, Phoenix, and he's super tall. Talking about Tony Robbins. Phoenix Chastain says Oprah needs to answer to Phil and Oz one day. Oh, it needs to answer for Phil and Oz. Jenny Kiss says, "I think her heart is in the right place, but she keeps pushing scammers." That's true. Hey, Jenny, I've heard of. Oh, shit. Damn it. I done scrolled down too far. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I scrolled down. Oh, wow. Damn, dude. I got a full house. Yes, it's 13 people watching me, and I'm proud. You have no idea how happy I am right now. Okay. Jenny says, "I think her heart is about." Okay, right. Okay, I read that part. Is that Etches smiles, and then Phoenix Chastain says, then you heard wrong, Etches. Black privilege is in the house. Peace, black privilege. I know we have our disagreements, but you have no idea how much I respect your channel, how much I might come there and troll every now and then, but I do truly appreciate your channel. And I'm being dead serious about that. Even if you told me to go fuck off, I would always be watching your videos. I'm sub to you, by the way. My black privilege says, sorry, y'all, I'm up here drinking. Dr. Boyce tried to sell his own community some worthless bitcoins backed by a fake AI bot called Jarvis. Yeah, I talked about Jarvis a little bit, black privilege, but I didn't get into full detail. I posted in the low bar of this live stream a link to the root, even though it's a very snarky piece. It's really based on. It has a lot of comedy going on in it, but I think that they did an excellent explanation of the whole Jarvis thing, the AI bot thing. Why is Boyce Watkins poisonous for the black community at this point? And so, yeah, I brought that up. Is that it just says all the anti SJWs are always talking shit about Jenny. I don't trust their view. All just men trying to distance themselves from women who make them uncomfortable. Yeah, that's one of the main reasons why. And I might as well say this. I was one of those people who was thinking, "Oh, wow, I guess this Jenny person is really a troublemaker." Well, maybe there's something to this. And then I took my head out of my ass and said, you know what? But you're not watching enough of her videos. You're listening to what other people are saying, and you're not really looking. And then when I looked, I would put two and two together. I was like, well, all right. Not only is she super smart, but she's super funny and talented. And this is a threat to a lot of people because some of them are smart, but not so talented. Some of them are smart and not so funny. And some of them are not smart or funny or talented at all. And they're just pissy and jealous. So, Phoenix says, I want Michelle Obama or Tammy Duckworth to run for the presidency against Trump. And don't forget your midterm vote, folks. Get ready now. Ride share and all that. Okay. Annex says Suze Orman was exposed. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Jenny says hungry and sick. When I probably asked how the pregnancy is going. Phoenix said, that's right, Etches. You got that right. Regiment 65 says, I would have shut off Jamila when she would start yelling at that little boy. Shaking my head. When did she start yelling? That's interesting because I don't ever see her yelling at those kids at all. But, I try not to watch too much of her shit. So there you go. Jenny Kiss says Star Wars, probably saying that, yes, I should do a Star Wars hangout. I think I will. Phoenix says, hey, you know me. We ain't all breeders up in here. Yep. Is that Etcha says prequels, the original trilogy. Oh, but the prequels are better than the original trilogy. I'm really loving the. Is that greater than or less than? Shit, I forgot. I like the. I didn't like. I liked Star Wars and I liked Empire, of course. All the Gen Xers, we all love Empire. But then again, that was the movie that George Lucas didn't write and didn't direct. So of course that was the best. But I'm actually loving the new Star Wars series. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do one because I'm gonna get off topic here. But right now I'm actually kind of done. I'm just wanting to read everybody's chat. Um Pure Butterfly Spirit says, oh, the new Star Wars movie was excellent. Yep, it sure was. I loved it. Is that Etcha says Contra did a good job tackling and debunking the alt-right. Uh, they're an actual fucking threat. Now all their videos are just justifications for their own identity. Agreed. Is that Etches? Phoenix Cheston says, yes, I'm serious. I'm an actual Jedi. I just made Grandmaster Jedi for real. And I'd be down with the Star Wars thing. Good. Is that Etcher says, as well as attacks and attempted debunkings of radical feminism, which he doesn't understand. Uh, is that Etcher says, I hope Dr. Phil dies a slow and painful death. Let's see. That's so funny. Phoenix Chesting says, BP, speaking of that, don't buy crypto. It's a Ponzi scheme and several people already arrested for their scheming. Wow. Jenny says, oh, thank you. Chastain said, Phoenix says, Jenny said, shoe on head screenshot a comment of mine and blasted it on her Twitter so her gramps will come. Talking about shoe on head's boyfriend. Are they still boyfriend and girlfriend, by the way? You know that shit ain't gonna change in status in any time soon. Anyway, so her gramps will come and will come to my channel just so long they don't leave their dentures behind. Jenny says, she did, haha, you upset her. Phoenix says, oh, I remember her screaming at that little toddler boy with the foulest language. Oh, wow, okay. Black Privilege says, cheddar man, okay. Phoenix says, hey, y'all, there's a Democrats only community on Google's Plus. Come check us out and join. Pray for Wolves, who just subbed to me, by the way, says blacks should create their own crypto. Huh. All right. Well, I mean, that's an interesting idea. I'm not, I'm not hating on that. Is that Etcha says, if I don't buy Bitcoin, how will I buy drugs? Answer me that, Phoenix. Jenny says, they're engaged now. Oh, really? Jenny says the first Britons were black. Huh. And Phoenix Chastain says, GA, why do you laugh when I tell you about my religion, dude? I'm not laughing at that. I know the Jedi is a religion, man. I'm not hating at all, Phoenix. Not at all. All right, so I made it to the bottom of the GA says, I'll share the article about Cheddar Man to you on Twitter. Okay, cool. Cool, Jenny. Thanks. Oh, wait, hold on. Hey, sweetie. Hi. Man, y'all, this is an awesome. Yeah, she's in bed, but her friend is sleeping over. Yeah. Um Man, y'all, this is a really cool and awesome hangout. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm probably going to shut down in about another 7 minutes or so. But I really want to thank you all for coming tonight. And I hope that I wasn't convoluted in any kind of way or shape or form in talking about this guy. Boyce Watkins is a fraud. And that is all there is to it. It was, again, I think the only thing that I was shocked about was the fact that he wasn't as big as I thought he was. But I knew that he was full of shit anyway. So I guess, it is what it is. Phoenix is giving me a sad face. Sorry, Phoenix. Pure Butterfly Spirit says, cool hangout garage. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Phoenix. Pure Butterfly Spirit. Probably what I should be doing if I'm like in a situation where I'm not working that much on videos, and I am, but they're just coming out slow. It's like I should just do this. But I'm definitely going to do the Star Wars hangout, and I want to talk about Kevin Smith. People making fun of him for not the Kevin Smith of the roast sector, but but Kevin Smith, the filmmaker. People have been making fun of him because he gets emotional about Star Wars, but I can understand it, and I understand like his this latest video he did was like a reaction video to some scenes out of the movie, the new movie, and him crying and people making fun of him. But I don't care. I think I understand why he gets like that. Black Privilege says no cryptos. Big Connect lost $900 million. Wow. Shit. That's a lot of cheddar. Jenny Kiss, so much fun as always. Have a good night. We want to hear about your dislike of the Jedi. Yeah, I'll get into that. Of course, I'm talking about the movie, the Jedi movie version, not Phoenix's religion. Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? The banging pipes. That's the risers, the heat risers in our apartment. I think they don't fill up the pipes enough with water. Or I think the other issue is they don't extract enough air out of the pipes. So, yeah, I know. It's crazy sounding. Phoenix says, my pleasure. Do I hang out with a link or we can join you? I sure will. You in the room next time, dude. Thanks. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for coming. It was fun. It was fun. Jenny says that's so New York. Yep, it sure is. It sure is. Yeah, but that's basically what's going on here. She says, is that Etcha says, you're telling lies. Your wife is just hitting the pipes with a broom. Night all. Good night. Good night, people of our spirit. Phoenix Chastain says, Kevin Smith did a great review of the movie. Kevin liked my review of the last Star Wars movie. Oh, for real? Cool. Peace Regiment 65. Thank you so much for coming by and thank you for giving us that information about this dude's credit situation. Again, if that actually pans out to being a real thing, I might mention that in an upcoming video. Is that just says good night? Okay, y'all. Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night. And thank you so much for coming. I will see you guys very soon. It won't be it won't be too long. Believe me, it'll be very soon. All right. Peace, everybody, and have a good night. This is the Garage Autonomous.